مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين صراط المستقيم صراط الذين ولا الضالين بسم الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله أوله بلا أول كان قبله وآخره بلا آخر يكون بعده، الذي قصرت عن رؤيته أبصار الناظرين وعجزت عن نعته أوهام الواصفين، ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا حبيبنا وطبيب نفوسنا أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين أبي القاسم محمد وعليه الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين، ولعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم وغاصبي حقوقهم ومنكري فضائلهم ومناقبهم أجمعين من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين، بالخصوص سيدي ومولاي أبو الفضل العباس بن أمير المؤمنين. والسلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته وعظم الله أجورنا وأجوركم. We extend our condolences to the Imam of our time upon the days of sorrow and huzn and martyrdom of Abu Abdullah al-Husayn alayhi salam and his family and his companions. Particularly today we extend our condolences as we commemorate the martyrdom of Hazrat Qasim ibn al-Hasan, to the Imam and to all of you lovers of Ahl Bayt alayhimus salam. As we said, Karbala is a very powerful and symbolic spiritual reality. It is an eternal legacy. It is a timeless legacy where we find its history, its spirit and struggle within it. Many symbolism within this reality of Karbala. And we are extremely thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He has given us the opportunity to commemorate, to appreciate, to understand perhaps a bit the truth behind Karbala, to unveil it and to see it, what actually Karbala is. Karbala is not an easy task to comprehend and understand. As we said, there's so much of symbolism within the story of Imam Husayn alayhi salam. Symbolism is part and parcel of a true religious ideology, part and parcel of a true religion. A religion that doesn't have symbolism is incomplete. So therefore, within Islam, you find a lot of symbolic practices. That's why, for example, in the Quran as well, you have things known as Sha'air-illah. There are the symbolic values that belongs to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Safa, Marwa, Tawaf, Hajj, hitting of the shaitan. These are all symbolic. Shaitan is not there in the pillar. It's very symbolic, right? So there's a lot of symbolism within. And Karbala being the story of truth, it contains within it many symbols. We together celebrate the Mehndi of Imam Hassan, Qasim ibn al-Hasan, on the 7th night, and this is very symbolic. is a tradition that exists within the Arabs, within the Iranians, and also among the Indo-Pak culture, that the seventh is in which the mehndi, the henna, is reminded. What is henna? What is the symbolic reality of henna? It's a tradition that existed within the Jews and Judeo-Christian tradition as well. Northern Africa, even before Judaism and Christianity, the practice of putting henna on the hands, particularly at a time where there is celebration, henna was placed on the hand of the bride, right? And we have that in these 10 days of Muharram where we dedicate Qasim ibn al-Hasan, and we have the henna tradition that we speak about. Unfortunately, people with perhaps shallow or maybe outward understanding, or it could be maybe because certain khurafat or certain things that sometimes is overly emphasized and the scholars have to speak about and stop it, they tend to be critical of. And they have the right to be critical of. For example, Shahid Mutahari mentions in his one of the books that Ayatollah Burjardi before Muharram will gather all of these dastajat, all of these sort of grohaye matami, grohaye who participate in taziyah and the drama that they show, So he would gather them all because certain things that they practice was quite strange. And it was affecting some people. They get only involved with these, rituals or these practices and forget the message. So Ayatollah Burjardi gathered them. And Ayatollah Burjardi, as we know, that he was a marja of all Shia world, just like how Sayyid Mohsin al-Hakim was, right? Highly respected. So he gathered all of those who were the leaders of this grow that are there, that who carry these matam, majlis and all that. And first thing he asked that, who do you do taqleed to? They all said, Agha, we do taqleed to you. Then he said that, please, these representations that you perform, these acts and these theaters and ta'ziyah and all that, you guys are overdoing it. As he was speaking, they stopped him. They said, we do taqleed for you in 363 days. It's not 65 in Arabic, it's one less. Only one day we don't do your taqleed, and that is the day of Ashura. We want to do whatever we want, right? So what I'm trying to say is that the scholars, when they are critical of certain rituals that are there, they speak in accordance to the time and space that they are, and they are critical of that. But what is of more importance here is that to remind them of it being symbolic and the reason behind this symbolism. What is mehndi? Prophet emphasized mehndi so much. Prophet used to put mehndi himself. He would say every Thursday night you should put mehndi on your hand. Male and female, everybody. For females, it's particularly on a night of celebration just before the marriage, they put that on, right? But the Prophet also said. Let me tell you a story in the margin of Sayyid Haddad. Sayyid Haddad was an arif, a great mystic, student of Sayyid Ali Qazi Tabatabai. There's a biography of Sayyid Haddad written in Farsi by the name of Ruh Mujarrad. It has been translated by ICAS, the Islamic College of UK, of London, as immaterial being, the immaterial soul, the immaterial soul. It's translated in English. The Ruh Mujarrad is translated in English. This book is written by Sayyid Muhammad Husayn Tehrani. Sayyid Muhammad Husayn Tehrani is a student of Allama Tabatabai as well. And Sayyid Muhammad Husayn Tehrani wrote many books, right? Sayyid Haddad was an arif. He was actually a blacksmith by profession. And he would, put this, the shoes of the horses in Iraq. And being the shagir, the student of Sayyid Ali Qazi Tabatabai, he was fana and highlighted in Tawheed fillah, in Tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He got ill. There are many things, if you look at the story in the book of the biography of Sayyid Addad, he was an arif in terms of ma'rifat and knowledge, so fascinating and powerful. And Sayyid Ali Qazi would send his student to Sayyid Haddad in order to learn from him, although he himself was a student of Sayyid Ali Qazi. He was in hospital and he tells to the people in the hospital that, please give me one night, I promise I will not come back because I don't want to die in hospital. So, and they say that he also have marg-e-ikhtiyari. Some of the ulama and scholars, because of the kamal and perfection that they reach to the level of death by choice. They used to say, Bahjat, he had marg-e-ikhtiyari, he had the death by choice. Right? And Sayyid Haddad had that death by choice. When they want to die, they can die. And this was proven. Said Allama, Sayyid Imam Husayn Tehrani mentions this in regards to death by choice, that some students did not believe that he had that. And in the madrasa, he slept and he raised the abba on his head and he said, Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un, he died. The roommate got scared, who didn't believe in. He's trying to wake him, he's died by choice. Then he said, please, what people will think, maybe I murdered him, I killed him. And then after pleading, he came back to life. It's by choice, because they have reached to the level of kamal and perfection, because of ubudiyat, of servitude. In any case, Sayyid Haddad says, allow me that I go back, and then I promise that I will not come back. He goes home and he puts henna on his fingers, and then he lied by stretching his feet towards Qibla and recited Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un, and he died. What did he do before he died? He put henna. Henna is symbolized as a symbol of love to the beloved. It's a decoration, beautification of the hands. Because it is through these hands we acquire our destiny. दुआ जब करते हैं तो हाथ उठाते हैं. हमारे हाथ में हमारी तकदीर, इसीलिए हाथ का symbol is a symbolism of the hand. It's in our hand. The destiny is in our hand. So when I'm decorating my hand, when the bride prepares, alaykum salam, when the bride puts the henna on the hand just before marriage, it is a covenant that the bride is giving to the groom, that by putting this henna, I will be yours. So Haddad puts the henna, Prophet puts the henna, the mehndi. The reason they put the mehndi, it is a symbolism of covenant, that I belong to the beloved, who is Allah. That's what mehndi is. So we have to understand the concept and the reality behind this mehndi. It's a mehndi of Shahzade Qasim. Right? So it's a covenant of Hazrat Qasim alayhi salam. Is that beauty of Hazrat Qasim is prepared so that this young lad who did not even become a groom, but his mehndi symbolizes that his covenant with Allah and the covenant of the daughter of Husayn with Hazrat Qasim. So it's very important to appreciate these rituals that have come to us, from our generation after generation. It just did not appear from nowhere. Yes, some of the new things that may be happening, for example, those should be stopped. But those things which have been going on after generation, heart to heart, these practices have been transferred. Marsiya Khani, Latmiya, crying, black clothes, all alam, all of these things have transferred generation after generation. And these are very valuable things. And it gives that so much of it makes an individual and a person, it vasts his heart. The people, their intellectual capacity increases and understand the symbolic value of these things and participate in that. By intellectually understanding, participating in that, it broadens the mind of a person instead of being critical or stopping. Because if you stop all of these things, nothing will remain as such. It is through these things the message of Husayn have remained. The mimbar, masjid, marsiya, matam, poetry, art, calligraphy, black clothes that we put on the walls. These are very symbolic values that brings that spirit of Imam Husayn alayhi salam. And within this we have that message. How lucky we are to be part and parcel of a culture that is so divine, that is so beautiful. It should be preserved. And that's what when you watch this National Geography, these channels and whatnot, in Morocco, there's a special language which a group of people only reads that language. But today when you go to Morocco, you will find the signs being written in that language. It's a very strange language. I'm forgetting the name of it. The Arabs in that sort of northern Africa, they only speak that. They have preserved it. It is very important to preserve these things. We cannot let go these things. That's why you find, all of these archaeologists and these people who go, they try to preserve the language, culture, the practices that are there. So we've been given this practice, and it is so alive. It is so powerful. So henna, mainly, have that reality. That is a covenant of insan of a lover with the beloved. That's why a person prepares the hands. And that's why the Prophet have said that every person should put, mehndi, should put henna. Even male, we've been asked, is mustahab. Rasulullah used to do it. But as it has been forgotten in the course of time, we don't really pay attention to that much to this sunnah of Rasulullah. But those people who are of the path, as we spoke about Haddad, Sayyid Ali Qazi Tabatabai, if you look at the picture that we have, even it's a black and white, you could clearly see that he has mehndi on his fingers. This part is dark and the other is not. And I remember even my grandmother, and you all definitely know for sure, they would always put henna. Their fingers would always have mehndi. Our grandfather and grandparents and all that. This is something that should be revived. This is something, because once you have that henna in your hand, for sure, maybe once in a blue moon, you may remember Hazrat Qasim. Right? How beautiful is that? That all of a sudden you have henna and you're raising your hands in qunut and you see the mehndi in your hand. And you remember the sacrifice of Shahzadeh Qasim. Right? Everything that, alhamdulillah, that we have received from our elders in our deen, in our maktab, have a very powerful meaning. And we have to appreciate and engage consciously. So the mehndi of Hazrat Qasim is that symbolic value it contains within it. Salat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. As I mentioned the week earlier, as last year as well, as a reminder, the possibility, a greater possibility exists, Shaheed Mutahari says, that a nikah took place of Hazrat Qasim with Fatima Sughra, which was the daughter of Imam Husayn alayhi salam. The reasons behind that, it could be that it was the desire of Imam Hassan, as it is, to give his son in marriage to the daughter of Imam Husayn, and vice versa. So therefore, in order to fulfill the desire of the brother, they quickly may have recited the aqd. That possibility is there when you analyze it. Okay? So before, one of the things that unfortunately we tend to do is, first thing we reject. बगैर सोचे समझे नहीं, ऐसा नहीं हुआ नहीं, कहाँ बताओ, दलील लाओ, this लाओ, that. Wait a minute. Somehow it has reached to us. It requires, we got to analyze it, why it has reached. It doesn't come out from nowhere. There is a reason for it to be there. There is a reason, there is a purpose for it to be there, right? So now, let's try to analyze it. So when we analyze, the possibility is there because of this reason, which I mentioned, or the other reason is because the treatment of the prisoners of war for a widow was different to a prisoner of war who's not married. Yes, we can say that, they are respected, no qanun. Yeah. But still, from the point of view of our side, we have to fulfill what qanun is and leave it rest in the hands of Allah. So that could be another reason where an aqd took place between Hazrat Qasim and Fatima Sughra, so that when Fatima Sughra becomes a prisoner of war, she's a widow. Obviously, when that aqd is taking place, everybody will be aware of that within the camp of Imam Husayn, and the camp of the enemies is not that far that they come to know about it. And the way Imam Husayn prepared Hazrat Qasim like a groom, that also shows that, some wedding happened, the way he is prepared to go to the battlefield. His clothing, his amama, and also, the news may have been spread that, Hussein gave the daughter to Qasim and there was a nikah, there was an aqd taken place, right? So one possibility is the khahish of the brothers. The second possibility is that because of the treatment of the prisoners of war. Number three, the third possibility, they also say that Imam Husayn tried different means to bring the mercy into the hearts of the enemies, so that at least they should leave the battle and not make their hands in the killing and in the blood of Imam Husayn alayhi salam. وَشَايَاتْ وَبَايَاتْ وَتَابِعَاتْ عَلَى قَتْلِهِ. That's what we recite. May the curse of Allah be on those who prepared, who facilitated, who participated. Not directly, they may not have severed the head of Imam Husayn alayhi salam, like Shimr did, for example. But they were, they facilitated that, they prepared that, things in order for that to happen. So Imam Husayn's methodology, Imam Husayn wanted, he's the representation of the unlimited mercy. He's the representation of that mercy of Allah, the unlimited mercifier. So he has to behave in that fashion. That's why he is asking for water before his head is being severed. Not that he wants water, but he has to fully bring out the potential that he has, from potentiality to actuality. What is the potentiality of Husayn? The potentiality of Husayn is his Rahman. That is Husayn. That is why the shafaat of Husayn on the Day of Judgment is beyond anybody, because he's... So from potentiality, because insan kamil, a perfect man, reflects, manifests all of the asma of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, except, as they say, the name of Qahhar, that belongs to Allah. Or even that may transfer, but the name of Kibriya, Ahl al-Kibriya wa Azama, Takabbur, Kibr, only Allah can do Takabbur, no one else. And no one even dare, especially those who are abd of Allah, they will not even dare to, engage in that. That's why they call themselves as Abduhu wa Rasuluh. We are the abd, right? So that name of the Kibr of Allah cannot be reflected by, manifested by. But all of the other names, it's a journey. We all go through that on different levels that we are. We will all be able to see that name and perform that name. We perform that name too, meaning that we manifest that name. Because this world is nothing but the reflection of the divine. As they say that when you see yourself in the mirror, that is you but not you. The whole creation is God but not God. So we all manifest the Asma Ilahi depending on our spiritual level. Husayn on that level, of Rahmaniyat, right? On his Jalal, right? We on a similar lower level. So we all go through that journey of the names of Allah. So Husayn the same way, from that potential to its actuality, from the potentiality which Husayn have, and as we said that we're going to talk about his hijrah today, from Medina to Makkah. Husayn was potential in Medina in terms of him being the representation of that Rahmaniyat of Allah. It was potential. When is that Rahmaniyat represented? When shimmer on the chest of Husayn. And then Imam Husayn says, don't kill me. We may think that this is actually Imam Husayn pleading. No, Imam Husayn is thinking of shimmer, that don't kill me because you will have azab because of killing me. He is manifesting the mercy of Allah. The Rahmaniyat of Allah is manifested through Husayn. That's why we, as we mentioned earlier, in Ziyarat-e-Jami Kabira, which comes from Imam Hadi alayhi salam, which is an authentic ziyarat, a very beautiful Ziyarat-e-Jami Kabira, in which we refer to the Masumin, because this Ziyarat-e-Jami Kabira can be read for all Imams. Even for Hazrat Zainab, you can read Ziyarat-e-Jami Kabira, they say, because it reflects the Darajah Kamal of the individual you are addressing. So in that Ziyarat-e-Jami Kabira, we refer to the Ahl Bayt alayhim salam as wa Umana'ur Rahman. They are the minarets of mercy on earth. So therefore they have to represent that. They have to manifest that. They have to reflect that mercy of Allah. Ya man arjuhu li kulli khair wa amanu sakhatahu inda kulli shar. Ya man yuti al-kasira bil qalil. Ya man yuti man sala. Ya man yuti man lam yas'alahu wa man lam yarif. Allah is giver for those who ask and those who do not ask. Allah gives to everybody out of His mercy. Allah is giver for those who know Allah and who even reject Allah, because He is a Rahman. So Husayn have to be Rahman. So he has to do every little thing so that he has fulfilled the Rahmaniyat on this earth. So he even have to take Ali Asghar. Maybe because of seeing at Ali Asghar, few people might leave. The rahmat of Allah might be upon them. The azab of Allah they will not face. So here they say that Husayn prepared Qasim as a groom, so that when he goes to the battlefield, people will look, my God, this young lad, he is a dula. He's a groom. Just the nikah have taken place. Who are we? How low can I be, na'uzubillah, to kill a person who's a groom, who just got married? I better leave. I'm too scared to join Imam Husayn's camp. I have to protect my life, because many people were like that, right? Abdullah ibn Hurajufi, he comes to Imam Husayn and he says, I give you my horse, I give you my sword, please, I need to leave. Because his intention to join Imam Husayn was something else. But Imam Husayn wants sincere blood, pure blood. A blood that puts henna before meeting Allah. That puts mainly before meeting Allah. Because that sincere soul regards Allah to be the beloved. Right? So here Imam Husayn alayhi salam tried his level best in order that the people and the individuals who have come to kill Imam Husayn and the ashab will at least leave, will not engage in battle, will go far away. And many did, as a matter of fact. Many people did not participate. They had that remorse and guilt and they left. So Imam Husayn, he has to do anything and everything so that on the day of judgment, or so that even before he died, what was he saying? Radan biqadahi wa tasliman li amri. I have surrendered and I am pleased, right? So that his journey of Kamal, his journey of these asma, of these names, should reach to its utmost perfection. And when he has journeyed all of this, and he reaches to that utmost perfection, the last name perhaps that he journeyed and he saw was Shaheed. He witnessed everything from Azal to Abad, from the beginning of creation till the end of creation. What is Husayn? He is Shaheed. What does Shaheed means? Somebody who sees and who has seen, who have bear witness. Bear witness of what? Bear witness of Awwalu ma khalaqallahu nuri. The first of creation. Husayn saw that. From Abad till Azal. What a personality. What an individual. What a soul. What a perfection. That one is capable to see the creation before creation and the creation after creation. That is Husayn. Right? He journeyed all of these names, and that's the beauty of Karbala, right? He made sure that even little things that he has performed, from a worldly perspective, from a dunyavi perspective, it falls perfect. And even from the obviously manavi, tawhidi, fana'i, and annihilation in Allah, in the Zat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that perfect, perspective, it is perfect. From a dunyavi perspective, he shows and he cries, Ana qatilul abara. Mujhe rula ke mara gaya hai. Abara is that crying. From that worldly person, he's showing that. However, this tears, in reality, in the outward reality, yes, it's pain. But in that inward reality, it is joy. It is pleasure. It is love. When do we cry? What is the symbolism of crying? All of this crying that we do, what happens when we cry? Our salvation is through crying. Right? It's a lot, like I said, there's so much of symbolism in the Waqi Karbala. It's fascinating. It is exactly when the heaven meets earth. And Husayn is the champion of fulfilling every minute, detailed reality of being a human, a politician, a leader, a father, a brother, to its maximum, to its kamal. And also from a manavi perspective as well. The reason I want to say about from the dunyavi perspective, last night we had the Masahib of Hazrat Akbar. He said, Laanat ho Khuda ki, jisne Ali Akbar ko qatl kiya. He did. Because in order to show the pain that yes, he is at the level of Kamal, but it's very painful. People should understand. You have the element of Manavi, yes. That's why said Muhammad Husayn Tehrani, same book, Haddad, Ruya Mujarrad. He said that Ashura is actually a day of celebration, a day of joy, a day of happiness, right? These things are echoed even, we may have heard, some of the Ahl Sunnah people say, yeah, it's a day of celebration. Why? Because, he was successful, Husayn, indeed, right? Yes, true. But not to forget that aspect. Because the message is lost. For instance, 13th of Rabiul Awwal is birth of the Prophet according to Ahl Sunnah. And at the same time, 13th of Rabiul Awwal for them is also the demise of the Prophet as well. But as they emphasize more on the aspect of the birth, the message of Rasul is lost in that celebration. Because whenever there is joy and happiness and celebration, we tend to forget things. That's the nafs-e-insan. Inna nafs ammarata bisu. In that dua Munajat Shakin of Imam Zainul Abidin, in the 15 Munajat, he says that my nafs, ammarata bisu Other than that, he mentions what nafs does. He said, my nafs loves entertainment and enjoyment and pleasure. He complaining, munajat-e-shakin, shikwa, nafs ki shikwa, Imam Zainul Abidin kar rahe hain Allah se. And he points out to that I am complaining of my nafs because my nafs loves entertainment. It's natural, we all do. Right? And when we engage in more of a joy and entertainment, we tend to overlook certain things. Unless or until a person is on that level of kamal, that even in the state of joy, because that's what the Quran says in Surah Hadith, it doesn't really make any difference to these individuals, those who have reached the level of kamal, whether that there be joy and pleasure and relief and release, or whether that be in the state of pain and sorrow and difficulty, because they have reached to that level of kamal. Allahumma inni as'aluka sabru shakirina lak. They are on the level of shukr in every state. They are in the level of that shukr. So here Imam Husayn alayhi salam, as in journey, he pointed out to the most perfect level of a human being as an insan from a dunyawi perspective. Right? And also obviously from the ukhrawi perspective. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. So now, as we kind of track back to our discussion, that is a bit of a history, and also it's also important to understand the message of Imam Husayn alayhi salam and his journey, and is related to what we are speaking and are going to speak tonight. As we mentioned last night, the sulh of Imam Hassan, 5 points or 5 conditions were there. Number 1 is that the Muawiyah will act upon the Quran and Sunnah, because it was very clear in the methodology of Muawiyah that he was going against the Quran and Sunnah. He wasn't upholding the Sunnah of Rasulullah. He started changing and doing ijtihad based on his own sort of opinion in terms of inheritance, in terms of the laws that were there, in terms of the Arab and Ajam, the distribution of ghanima, the tax, right? So he was going against the Sunnah of Rasulullah and against the Quran. But clear verses of the Quran were there where he wasn't regarding that and upholding that and implementing that. So the first thing, and which things were there, clearly mentioned in the history recorded by the Ahl Sunnah Ahl Shi'i as well. We don't really have much of a time to really go into the nitty-gritty details of it. The condition that Imam Hassan Mushtaba puts in the sulh of Imam Hassan, number 1, that Muawiyah would act upon the Quran and Sunnah. What does this really show? The grandson of the Prophet is saying that this individual is not acting upon Quran and Sunnah. He's unwilling. Although and when he did not respect the conditions of sulh, itself shows twice as much. In the first, one may say that, oh, how can it be possible that he's not acting on Quran and Sunnah? Okay, fine, let's see. After the sulh, did he did or not? He did not. So this itself shows that, as a priority, that he was somebody who was shrewd. Number 2, the la'anat on Amirul Mu'minin should stop. Once again, the history is a proof that he did not uphold this condition. He is asking to do the sulh. He is asking Imam Hassan. Imam Hassan did, and he puts that with this condition I will do sulh. Even if he would have rejected, Imam Hassan wouldn't have. But he accepted it. Number 3, the Khilafat will come to him or Imam Husayn. Once again, history is clear that did not happen. Even before he died, he came to Medina, gave a khutbah, asked the people that they should give bayah to Yazid, who was very clearly known in terms of the blueprint of Yazid, who he was, right? Number 4, the killing that was taking place, and openly, those who were the lovers of Imam Ali alayhi salam, the Shias of Ali alayhi salam, they were openly killed, their properties were taken, snatched, their limbs were killed. Among them were a Sahabi as well, Hujr ibn Uday, the great Sahabi of Rasulullah, and he was a lover of Imam Ali alayhi salam. He was killed. Maysam Tammar, he was killed. The Ashab of Rasul, just because they loved Imam Ali alayhi salam. So Imam Hassan in the Sul mentioned that, but that did not happen either. They continuously usurping the properties of the lovers of Ali and attacking them, right? Then number 5 is the distribution of the ghanima, of the taxes, of the Baytul Mal to the people who are mustahaq in Kufa, because it was all Islamic empire, right? From Sham, Kufa, Medina, including all of that. So the distribution of that should be like that. Like for example, Jabir ibn Abdullah Ansari, who was the Sahabi Rasul, who was old, who participated in the spread of Islam, to the extent that he was critical to the governor of that time, they arrested Jabir ibn Abdullah Ansari. And in those times, there was the rasm or the tradition of stamping the slaves. Just to make the mock of Jabir, they stamped on his back. They burned the stamp and they stamped him. That's Jabir, who is the Sahabi of Rasul during the time of the reign of Muawiyah. These type of things were happening. All of these 5 conditions that were there in the Sul of Imam Husayn was, trampled, was not accepted, was not upheld by the Khalifa of that time, who was Muawiyah. Finally, you have 60 Hijrah, end of 60 Hijrah, where the death of Muawiyah is recorded, and then Yazid becomes the Khalifa, and then he orders, Walid ibn Utbah, who was the governor, and Marwan ibn Hakam, who was also in Medina, that get the bayah from Husayn. And at night they call Imam Husayn alayhi salam. Now, as we say that it is an eternal legacy, how Imam Husayn responded to Walid when they asked him to give bayah. Imam Husayn said, first thing he said was, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. This itself showed that when do we say Inna lillahi? When musibat happens. So this, number 1, asking of, and then he said, well, Islam salam, that's it, Islam finish. If I give bayah to you, or if Yazid become the Khalifa, that means Islam is finished. That's it. It has reached to that point. It has become so chaotic that that's the end of Islam. If Yazid is the Khalifa, Inna lillahi, that's it. The great musibah have fallen, and also the possibility of him saying Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un is that now it is the time. Karbala is coming, O Hussein. Get ready. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. The time of, because you say that at the time of when you are tested, and then Allah puts that sabr when you say that. So 2 reasons that could be that Imam Husayn mentioned that. And then after that he mentions something very unique. He says, somebody like me. He did not say, me, Husayn, will not give bayah to Yazid. He says, somebody like me will never give bayah to somebody like Yazid. The question was the question of principles. The question was not of individualism or one Shahzada fighting the other Shahzada. It was the principles. And so deep, Imam Husayn is pointing out to. And that's why it becomes that eternal legacy. That's why inni silmun liman salamakum wa harbun liman harabakum, the 6th Imam is saying, the 11th Imam is saying, and we are saying that today as well. That whosoever is in line with Husayn and Husayni, friends with. Whosoever is against Imam Husayn, not as an Imam Husayn as the Nawase Rasul, but in terms of that principle of humanity. Whosoever against the human principles of equality and justice, and whosoever is for human principles, equality and justice, although on an outward level this person is not a Muslim Ali or Jafar or Abid, but in terms of the spirit, he is Husayni. That person is a Husayni. Because it could be possible that the message, the name of Imam Husayn or the message, true message of his Imam Husayn has not reached. But in terms of that humanity, that person is for that. Definitely this person is a Husayni. Because what did Imam Husayn say? Somebody like me. Somebody like me, who is somebody like me? Somebody who loves justice, somebody who loves equality, somebody who cares for deen and diyanat, religiosity and religion, have respect for religion. Somebody who is like that will never ever pay allegiance to somebody like you, O Yazid, who have no respect for deen, who have no respect for justice, who oppress people, who spread terrorism, right? So, in any time after that, Imam Husayn is saying that that is the message of Husayn. That person is Husayni. And this also lays that criteria, or that famous saying that is there, that every land is Karbala and every day is Ashura. Whether on that macrocosmic level outside, or whether inside in our nafs as well. So Karbala is something that is eternal. Husayn is something that is eternal. There is no time limit. It is timeless. Right? So Imam Husayn mentioned that and he left. And then right after that, he left Medina. Because the possibility of him, as we mentioned, being killed in Medina, this was the right time. This was the time, this was an indication, this was the Hujjat Tamam on Imam Husayn. The time have arrived. He has tried everything during that 10 years of Khilafat of Muawiyah, where the soul of Imam Hassan was there. Imam Hassan also tried with soul. Now it is reached to beyond, comprehension. And then he clearly mentions in that very meeting that Rasulullah have made Khilafat haram on Bani Umayyah. How can I allow that? Pay allegiance to that, where it has been made haram upon them. Right? So, from a worldly perspective, you have this historical event that is unfolding. But in terms of that Manavi perspective, it is the Hijrat of Husayn. Hijrat of Husayn from where? Hijrat of Husayn from Medina to Makkah. Medina is a safe haven. Medina is comfortable, is a comfort zone. Everything, Husayn is a Nawase Rasul, well respected by the people, protected by the people. Now he is coming out of that. He is consciously making that hijrat. There's a very powerful reality of hijrat. Hijrat, meaning that migration. The Quran talks about migration in a very powerful way. And a person reaches kamal and perfection through migration. We all migrate. Not in the sense that, in the physical sense, but in the Manavi sense, we migrate from a false belief or from a lower understanding to a higher understanding. Our perspective or understanding of perhaps, Tawheed or Azadari or month of Ramadan and fasting was something else before. We have migrated from that belief. And we always have to be migrating all the time. Till when? Till yudrikuhul maut. As the ayah of the Quran says, I will come back to that ayah. Till we face death. Till that time we always must be migrating. We cannot be in our comfort zone. We have to be migrating all the time. We have to be coming out of those false beliefs and gods and idols, enhancing and improving ourselves. That's why Amirul Mu'mineen says that a mu'min is the one, the day that has gone is different to the new day that is coming, or the new day that he is in. It's a new understanding, better understanding from the previous one. We have to keep on improving ourselves. It should not be the same. Right? So therefore this migration of Husayn is also a migration from that dunyavi perspective, as we were saying, that everything was falling right. The calculation of Imam Husayn was so perfect. That's why Husayn remained today, right? Every person who participated in that, which was brought by Husayn, Husayn brought them all. Husayn went to the camp of Zuhair and said, are you joining me? Husayn went to the camp of Wahab and they did what he did. You know, he is the champion, he is the master, he is the leader. He brought them all. He made them migrate from what Zuhair was Usmani Maslak. He used to believe in the Usmani fiqh. You know, he migrated from that. And he became from whom? He became from someone where the sixth Imam, who's an Imam and Insan Kamil, he says, may my life sacrifice to the Ashab of Husayn. Right? Awliya Allahi wa ahibba'o. Every night we are thankful to Kazim Bhai who recites the ziyarat, you know, in which we say, Assalamu alaikum ya awliya Allahi wa ahibba'o. They become the, you know, awliya of Allah. Who are the awliya? La khawfun alayhim wa lahum yahzanun. These awliya are those people who have no fear and no huzn. Imagine what daraja and level they will be in the hereafter. This dunya is limited. 50, 60, 70, maximum 80, 90, it's finished. And even this period, a person reaches to the age of 84, whatnot, it goes like a barq, like a, you know, thunder. It's gone so fast. I was here last year. It looks like I was here yesterday. I'm just finishing one majlis to second majlis now. It's 1 year past. Right? It's just like that. So Imam Husayn alayhi salam brought them all. That hijrat they performed. And even this hijrat, if you look at it, you know, how beautifully they were trained, the tarbiyat which Husayn did. Lights off. No, I don't mean, you know, no. Imam Husayn says, lights off, no candle, go. Baba, you brought them all. You know, you went to their tents and asked them, are you helping me? I'm this or that. My mission is this, my purpose is this, I'm the son of Fatima. You brought them all. And just before Ashura, day of Ashura, just go. Go back to where you belong to. And I promise you the Jannah in the hereafter. I will do the shafa'at, don't worry about akhirah. I'm taking care of that. They got everything. They got nothing to lose. But they have to do hijrat from there as well. They said, if they kill us 70 times, if they burn our body, throw our ashes corners of the world, we will say, Labbaik ya Husayn. That is hijrat. Jannat is not a place to be there stagnated. We will always be doing hijrat. Because our journey is towards where? Our journey is towards Allah who is azali. His kamalat is infinite. How can we stop in Jannat as kamal and just stay there? No way. We will always be traveling. We will always be expanding and increasing our wujud and our soul. And the leaders of this caravan is no one but Muhammad wa Ali Muhammad. When they were like this in this dunya, imagine the hereafter. When Allah says in the Quran that, you know, Allah have given Rasulullah maqam mahmud. What is maqam mahmud? What is maqam mahmud? Because this dunya doesn't have the capacity to show what maqam mahmud is. Allah creates the qiyamah to show what maqam mahmud is and who Rasul is. But look at the beauty of Husayn. What do we ask in Ziyarat-e-Ashura? Oh Allah, give me maqam mahmud. Give me the same reward of Zuhair and Qasim ibn al-Hasan and Abul Fazl Abbas. The reward that those shuhada have got, give me. We are asking Allah. Itni jurrat, so much of, how shall I say, courage to speak to Allah in this fashion by doing nothing. Why is that? It's because of Husayn. Husayn gives us that strength, that courage, that jurrat, that even a baby asghar becomes Babul Hawaij. 6 month old, he's the Babul Hawaij, is the door of Hajat of the creation. Husayn have brought him. Yes, obviously there was some, harakat from Asghar as well. Not that there was nothing. There was some consciousness, some understanding. And this is the Gharane Rasul. This is the family of the Prophet. This is the house of Hashim. It's the house of Hashim. Aqile Bani Hashim, right? The Hashims were known for their intellectuality and their courage and their strength and their chivalry. Qamar Bani Hashim, right? So Asghar also did something. But Husayn raised him so much that he becomes a door of Hajat for the whole creation. Babul Hawaij, of Malai, of angels and whatnot. Why not be the case where the cradle of Husayn Fatrus comes and wipes the wing and says, I've been cured because of the cradle of Husayn. Asghar is the son of Husayn. Why not? So therefore Imam Husayn alayhi salam said, no way. The time is to do hijrat now. Inshallah, we'll discuss a bit more in regards to hijrat of Imam Husayn and other things that he pointed out to in terms of the letter writing and the letters which were received, how he was in Makkah, the speeches that he gave on his way from Medina to Makkah and from Makkah to Kufa, who he met, the poet, the Farazdaq and other people, right? So we're gonna, look into that. And also the spiritual angle of the hijrat and this verse which I said that, وَمَنْ يُهَاجِرْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. There's a verse in the Quran which is very, very fascinating to reflect that. But tonight is the night of the lover and the beloved. It's Shahzadeh Qasim, who is the lover of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's his Mehndi. It's the Mehndi of Fatima Sughra, the daughter of Husayn, who became widow in few hours. How painful. See, like as I was mentioning, Karbala is really a place of reaching Kamal and perfection. बाप है, बाप बेटी के लिए क्या चाहता है, बाप बेटे के लिए क्या चाहता है. देखिए हद इम्तिहान देखें हुसैन से, height of testing, of exam that Allah is taking from Husayn. No wonder, as they say, जब हुसैन की जान ले जा रही थी तो कहा गया है कि खुद अल्लाह तशरीफ फरमा रहे हैं अर्श से हुसैन की जान लेने के लिए. ये भी बहुत मानादार है. मे बी परहैप्स सम अदर टाइम, क्योंकि इतना इम्तिहान लिया गया है हुसैन से. तो ऐसी शख्सियत को खुशामदीद कहना है अल्लाह को, ऐसी शख्सियत को, ऐसे शख्स को वेलकम करना है तो अल्लाह खुद तशरीफ फरमा होता है हुसैन को लेने के लिए, राइट. एंड ऑल्सो इसी तरह से तमाम अंबिया और औलिया तशरीफ फरमा होते हैं. जब अल्लाह ही जब आ रहा है तो बीबी फातिमा तशरीफ फरमा होती हैं, जो सिर्रुल मुस्तौदे फीहा है, सिर है, सीक्रेट है क्रिएशन का, वो भी तशरीफ. क्यों? क्योंकि हुसैन ने ऐसे इम्तिहानात दिए. कौन बाप चाहता है कि उसका दामाद कुछ ही घंटों में इस तरह से शहीद हो जाए, बेटी इस तरह से बेवा हो जाए, 6 महीने वाला बेटा इस तरह से शहीद हो जाए, जवान कड़ियल जवान अली अकबर इस तरह से शहीद हो जाए. क्या क्या इम्तिहानात दिए. और फिर हजरत कासिम परेशान है जब इमाम फरमाते हैं कि सब शहीद होने वाले हैं, तो हजरत कासिम कहते हैं कि चचा क्या मैं भी शहीद होने वाला हूँ. फिर पूछते हैं कासिम, मैं बहुत ही खुलासा कर रहा हूँ कि वक्त में गुंजाइश नहीं है, पूछते हैं कासिम मौत तुम्हारे लिए क्या है. ये खुद मानादार है. जमीन और आसमान करबला में मिलता है, आसान नहीं है, जो मैंने अर्ज किया. मौत मेरे लिए शहद से ज्यादा शीरीन है, असल से ज्यादा शीरीन है मेरे लिए मौत. इमाम ने कुछ नहीं कहा जवाब में कि हाँ कासिम तुम भी शहीद हो गए, बस इतना पूछा कि मौत तुम्हारे लिए क्या है. मौत वो हकीकत है. ये हिजरत की आयत में भी जो है मौत आई है, कल इसके बारे में गुफ्तगू करेंगे. لیکن پھر بھی جو ہے ایک کے بعد ایک شہید جاتا جا رہا ہے میدان میں، اپنی جان دیتا جا رہا ہے. قاسم کی نوبت ہی نہیں آ رہی ہے. قاسم پریشان ہے. قاسم اپنے ماں کے پاس جاتے ہیں، کہتے ہیں کہ چچا مجھے قبول نہیں کر رہے ہیں، مجھے شاید لائق نہیں سمجھتے ہیں کہ میں شہید ہو جاؤں، اپنی جان دوں چچا کے لیے. یہاں پہ رملہ بعض روایتوں میں نام ملا ہے حضرت قاسم کی والدہ کے، انہوں نے کہا کہ دعا کرو خدا سے، توسل کرو اللہ سے کہ تمہارے چچا تمہیں قبول کرے. جب حضرت قاسم نے شروع کی نماز پڑھنا، دعا کرنا، اللہ سے گڑ گڑانا، تو انہیں ایک بات یاد آئی، اور وہ بات یہ تھی کہ باپ نے ایک تعویذ باندھا تھا ہاتھ پر. حالانکہ قاسم چھوٹے ہی تھے، 2 سال کے تھے جب امام حسن کی شہادت ہوئی ہے. کہا گیا ہے کہ جب امام حسن خون کی قیع کر رہے تھے بستر پہ، حضرت قاسم حضرت ابو الفضل عباس کے گود میں تھے. حضرت ابو الفضل عباس نے تربیت کی ہے، امام حسین نے حضرت قاسم کی تربیت کی ہے. تو یہاں پہ حضرت قاسم کو یاد آیا کہ باپ نے ایک تعویذ باندھی تھی بازو. تعویذ کب اور کس لیے کام آتی ہے؟ کہ کوئی ایسی مشکل آ جائے، اس مشکل سے انسان کو نجات مل جائے، اس وجہ سے ہوتی ہے. اب جو سب سے بڑی مشکل قاسم کے لیے یہ ہے کہ چچا قبول نہیں کر رہے ہیں، سب سے بڑی مشکل ہے قاسم کے لیے. جیسا ہی یہ یاد آیا قاسم کو کہ بابا نے تعویذ باندھی تھی، اور جب مشکل آئے تو اسے کھولنے کے لیے کہا تھا، تو حضرت قاسم اسے کھولتے ہیں تو دیکھتے ہیں کہ یہ خط ہے، بھائی کا خط ہے، حسن کا خط ہے حسین کے لیے. دوڑتے ہوئے امام حسین کے پاس آتے ہیں. دیکھیں جس طرح سے میں نے عرض کیا، چھوٹی چھوٹی باتیں ہیں، لیکن حسین اس میں تربیت کر رہے ہیں، قاسم کو اس حد تک لے جا رہے ہیں کہ باپ یاد آ جائے. توسل کرے باپ سے. اور پھر یہ خط آیا، اور پھر امام کے پاس آتے ہیں، اور امام کو پتہ ہی ہے کہ یہ خط میں کیا ہے. مگر جیسا ہی اس خط کو دیکھتے ہیں تو ایک ٹھنڈک ملتی ہے آنکھوں کو حسین کو. تحریر، بھائی کی تحریر دیکھی ہے، اسے بوسہ دیتے ہیں، اسے چومتے ہیں، اسے آنکھوں سے لگاتے ہیں، اور پھر کہتے ہیں قاسم آ جاؤ، میں تمہیں تیار کرتا ہوں. قاسم کو امامہ باندھتے ہیں، قاسم کو تحت الحنک کھولتے ہیں، سوار کرتے ہیں گھوڑے پر، اور بھیجتے ہیں میدان کی طرف. جیسا قاسم اس میدان میں آتے ہیں، رجس پڑھتے ہیں، اور پھر اپنے چچا کی مدد اور دین کی حمایت کرنے کی جو ہے شاعری کرتے ہیں، اور دشمنوں سے لڑتے ہیں. 13 سال کے جوان ہے، لیکن کیا مارے کی جنگ کی ہے. جو تربیت عباس نے دی ہے اسے بتلایا ہے، جو تربیت حسین نے دی ہے اسے بتلایا ہے. حسن کی جو خواہش تھی کہ بھائی کربلا میں نہ ہوں گا، لیکن قاسم میرے طرف سے قربان ہوگا تمہارے لیے. جنگ کی ہے، مارے کی جنگ کی ہے. جنگ کرتے کرتے آگے نکل گئے ہیں، دشمنوں کے بیچ آ گئے ہیں. اور جب دشمنوں کے بیچ آ جاتے ہیں، جب دشمن حملہ ور ہوتے ہیں، تو چچا کے طرف دیکھتے کہتے ہیں چچا میرے مدد کے لیے آئیے گا. جس طرح سے یہ آواز چچا تک پہنچی، یہاں پہ عباس بھی ہے، یہاں پہ اکبر بھی ہے، یہاں پہ حسین بھی ہے، سب مل کر قاسم کی مدد کے لیے جاتے ہیں. جیسا ہی اعلان ہوتا ہے میدان میں کہ عباس جنگ کے لیے آئے ہیں، تمام دشمن پلٹ کر واپس دوڑنے لگتے ہیں، واپس جانے لگتے ہیں. جب قاسم اس زمین پر گر گئے ہیں، قاسم کی لاش تھی، قاسم کا بدن تھا، اور گھوڑوں کے ٹاپے تھی. کس گھوڑوں کے ٹاپے کے نیچے قاسم کا بدن چور چور ہو گیا تھا. جب امام حسین قاسم قدے پہنچتے ہیں تو کہتے ہیں کہ یہ چچا کے لیے بہت مشکل ہے، جب تم پکارو اور چچا مدد کے لیے نہیں پہنچ پائے. یہاں پہ بعض شاعروں نے اس طرح سے بیان کیا ہے کہ قاسم کے بدن کے ٹکڑے ٹکڑے ہو چکے تھے. قاسم کے بدن کو حسین نے اپنے ردا کے دامن میں باندھا ہے، اور اس ردا کے دامن میں باندھ کر ایک گٹری بنا کر سر پہ رکھی ہے، اور اس طرح سے قیام کے طرف گئے ہیں. لیکن بعض روایتوں میں یہ بھی ملتا ہے کہ جب قاسم کے لاش کو اٹھا رہے تھے حسین، کبھی ہاتھ گر جاتا تھا، کبھی پاؤں گر جاتا تھا. حسین پوری طرح لاش قاسم کو اٹھا نہیں پاتے تھے، ردا کے دامن میں بن لیا، اس طرح سے لے گئے ہیں۔ جب اس لاش قیام میں پہنچی تو رملہ نے سجدہ شکر کیا، جو وعدہ لیا تھا شوہر سے وہ وعدہ پورا نبھایا، قاسم کی شہادت ہو گئی، واہ قاسمہ کی صدا بلند ہو گئی۔ الا لعنت اللہ علی قوم الظالمین، سیعلم الذین ظلموا ای منقلب ینقلبون۔ ماتم حسین، یا حسین۔